Moving on for now, we get you the updates on the Belarus-Poland crisis. Thousands of migrants are stuck at Europe's borders. What they hoped for was a better future, one far away from the conflicts in their home countries. But instead, they have become pawns in a geopolitical conflict. The visuals on your screen are from the Poland-Belarus border. These are our migrants that have traveled for days in the hope to cross this border. What they are now facing are barbed wire fences and Polish troops. The migrants are stuck in the cold. They have been camping here for days. Stuck at the frozen frontiers of Europe, some of them have died in the sub-zero temperatures. Others have been hit by the Polish border guards.
Then Belarus police come, border guards come, followed us, and then they catch us, take an ease. We took an ease like this. In that way, there is a Belarus soldier just this side. He kicked me in the face with his foot. So I passed off about a couple minutes. Broke my nose and broke a bone in here, and my eyes are swollen like that.
This is not a new crisis. It has been escalating since last year. Belarus was hit by successive waves of sanctions by the European Union. So what did Europe's last dictator do? He made it easy for migrants to travel to the borders. It started as early as March this year. Belarus simplified its visa proceedings. This was done for West Asian countries, especially Iraq. All the migrants had to do was take a flight to Belarus. And from there, they could just drive down to the border. When they reached, they were helped by the Belarusian soldiers. Some even claim the soldiers cut the fences to help the migrants.
We have 100, maybe 100 and more, a lot, 100. And going to Poland. He cut the cheek.
Who cut it?
Belarus soldiers. And say go to Poland.
Now, Lukashenko has been accused of engineering this crisis, but instead, Belarus is pointing fingers towards Poland. It even said that it will retaliate together with Russia. Lukashenko blames the EU and the US for the catastrophe.
We need to pay attention to pregnant women and children. Total catastrophe. So many women in the 8 to 9 months of pregnancy, we don't have other options. They probably will be giving birth here. They don't want to leave camp where they are now. They don't want to leave camp where they are now.
Russia has also been blamed for the crisis at Europe's borders, but Moscow remains defiant. It is supporting Belarus and blames the European Union for the situation. The Kremlin says Russia had nothing to do with the migrant crisis, rejecting suggestions that its state carrier could be targeted. Earlier, media reports had suggested that Aeroflot helped in mass transportation of migrants to Belarus. Russia even took it one step further by dispatching bombers. 2 nuclear-capable strategic bombers were dispatched to patrol the Belarusian airspace. Russia says while there is no risk to its security at this point, the situation remains tense at the border. Meanwhile, the European Union is already planning more sanctions. Backing its move is the United States. US President Joe Biden met with the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, expressing deep concern about the irregular migration flows. The bloc's current plan is to widen sanctions against personalities and entities in Belarus.
We will widen our sanctions against Belarus. So very rapidly at the beginning of next week, there will be a widening of the sanctions against Belarus. As far as I'm informed, the United States have prepared sanctions that will be in effect at the beginning of December. And these, the European sanctions will not only be against personalities, but also against entities.
And for more on these developments, we earlier spoke to our correspondent, Stewart Smith from Moscow. Take a look.
slightly calmer night last night. We haven't seen scenes as we saw on Monday with logs and wire cutters being used and a huge push by migrants to get across, although we understand that overnight there were more smaller attempts of individual groups trying to get over the border, with none of them succeeding. Slightly new in this picture is more attempts to get from Belarus over to Lithuania, potentially dragging that country into this as well. It's already declared a state of emergency at the border and deployed thousands more border forces, but most of the action, or lack of it as things currently stand, is at that checkpoint with Poland and Belarus in the northwest of the country. Now, you talked about that strategic bomber flight that Russia helped with over on Belarus. That was a training exercise for Russia to help improve communications with Belarusian ground forces, but as you said, came at a very notable timing from Russia. Belarus is also reinforcing its air defences in the west and northwest of the country, i.e. towards the direction of Europe. Now, Poland says Belarus is trying to spark an armed confrontation, which Belarus denies. It says it's merely reinforcing its defences. But as you say, at the centre of this are 2,000 migrants stuck effectively in no man's land between the border of Poland, who will not let them cross into the European Union, and Belarus, who's not letting them back from the forested area into the centre of Minsk.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.